Here are 6 important points on the nature and significance of economic science and its relevance to law. 1. Economic science defined. Economic science studies how resources are allocated to meet human needs and desires, involving principles like scarcity, supply and demand, and cost benefit analysis. 2. Policy impact. Economic principles guide lawmaking by helping policymakers understand the effects of laws on markets, behavior, and resource distribution. 3. Efficiency and welfare. Economic analysis helps assess how laws can achieve optimal efficiency and improve social welfare, balancing individual rights with public benefits. 4. Market regulation. Laws often regulate market behavior to correct failures such as monopolies, externalities, or information asymmetries, ensuring fair competition and consumer protection. 5. Behavioral insights. Economics informs legal theories by explaining how individuals and firms behave in response to incentives, penalties, or legal norms, helping design effective regulations. 6. Interdisciplinary integration. The integration of economics into legal analysis, example, law and economics, helps create a more structured approach to solving legal issues, ensuring laws reflect practical economic realities. Give most important 6 points only. Difference between micro and macroeconomics. Here are 6 important points highlighting the difference between microeconomics and macroeconomics. 1. Scope. Microeconomics focuses on individual economic units like households, firms, and industries. Macroeconomics looks at the economy as a whole, dealing with national or global economic issues. 2. Key variables. Microeconomics examines variables such as supply, demand, prices, and output at the individual or firm level. Macroeconomics studies broader variables like GDP, inflation, unemployment, and national income. 3. Decision making. Microeconomics analyzes how individual agents, consumers, producers make decisions. Macroeconomics focuses on aggregate decisions and policies affecting entire economies. 4. Objective. Microeconomics aims to understand resource allocation and pricing in specific markets. Macroeconomics aims to understand and manage overall economic stability and growth. 5. Policy focus. Microeconomics informs policies related to market regulations and competition. Macroeconomics informs fiscal and monetary policies, including taxation and government spending. 6. Time frame. Microeconomics often deals with short-term or specific market conditions. Macroeconomics looks at long-term economic trends and cycles on a national or global scale. Give most important 6 points only. Positive economics and normative economics. Here are 6 important points distinguishing positive economics and normative economics. 1. Definition. Positive economics focuses on objective analysis of economic facts and relationships, explaining what is. Normative economics involves value judgments and opinions, focusing on what ought to be. 2. Nature of statements. Positive economics deals with cause and effect statements that can be tested and verified. Example, increasing taxes reduces consumption. Normative economics involves subjective statements based on personal beliefs or ethical views. Example, the government should reduce taxes for the poor. 3. Approach. Positive economics is scientific and descriptive, aiming to explain economic phenomena. Normative economics is prescriptive, suggesting policies or actions based on values and societal goals. 4. Testability. Positive economics involves hypotheses that can be tested using data or empirical evidence. Normative economics cannot be tested objectively, as it is based on subjective opinions. 5. Role in policy. Positive economics provides factual analysis to guide policy decisions. Normative economics guides policy through ethical considerations and societal preferences. 6. Example. Positive economics. An increase in interest rates leads to a decrease in consumer spending. Normative economics. The government should increase interest rates to curb inflation. Law of demand. Here are the 6 important points about the law of demand. 1. Definition. The law of demand states that, all else being equal, as the price of a good or service increases, the quantity demanded decreases, and vice versa. 2. Inverse relationship. There is an inverse relationship between price and quantity demanded. Higher prices lead to lower demand, and lower prices lead to higher demand. 3. Ceteris paribus. The law assumes that other factors affecting demand, like consumer income or preferences, remain constant. Ceteris paribus. 4. Downward sloping demand curve. Graphically, the law of demand is represented by a downward sloping demand curve, reflecting the negative relationship between price and quantity demanded. 5. Substitution effect. As the price of a good rises, consumers may substitute it with a cheaper alternative, leading to a decrease in demand for the more expensive good. 6. Income effect. When prices rise, the purchasing power of income decreases, which can lead to a reduction in the quantity demanded for that good. Elasticity of demand. Here are 6 important points about elasticity of demand. 1. Definition. Elasticity of demand measures how sensitive the quantity demanded of a good is to a change in its price. It shows the responsiveness of demand to price fluctuations. 2. Price elasticity. The most common form is price elasticity of demand. PED, which quantifies the percentage change in quantity demanded relative to a percentage change in price. 3 types of elasticity. Elastic demand, when the percentage change in quantity demanded is greater than the percentage change in price, PED 1. Inelastic demand, when the percentage change in quantity demanded is less than the percentage change in price, PED 1. Unitary elastic demand, when the percentage change in quantity demanded equals the percentage change in price, PED is equal to 1. 4 determinants. Factors affecting elasticity include the availability of substitutes, the necessity of the good, the proportion of income spent on the good, and the time period under consideration. 5. Total revenue test. If price increases and total revenue, price times quantity, decreases, demand is elastic. If price increases and total revenue increases, demand is inelastic. 6. Applications. Elasticity helps businesses set prices, determine tax impacts, and design policies. Goods with elastic demand benefit from price reductions, while those with inelastic demand can absorb price increases without significantly reducing sales. Law of supply. Here are 6 important points about the law of supply. 1. Definition. The law of supply states that, all else being equal, as the price of a good or service increases, the quantity supplied also increases, and as the price decreases, the quantity supplied decreases. 2. Positive relationship. There is a direct or positive relationship between the price of a good and the quantity supplied. Higher prices motivate producers to supply more, while lower prices discourage supply. 3. Supply curve. The law of supply is represented by an upward sloping supply curve on a graph, indicating that as the price rises, suppliers are willing to produce and offer more of the good. 4. Ceteris paribus. Like the law of demand, the law of supply assumes other factors like technology, input costs, and government policies remain constant, ceteris paribus. 5. Producer incentive. Higher prices act as an incentive for producers to increase production and supply, aiming for greater profitability. 6. Exceptions. The law of supply may not hold in some situations, such as in cases of limited resources or in the production of luxury goods, where supply may not be responsive to price changes. Market structure. Here are 6 important points about market structure. 1. Definition. Market structure refers to the characteristics of a market that influence the behavior of firms within it, including the number of firms, the nature of the product, and the ease of entry and exit. 2 types of market structures. Perfect competition, a market with many firms, identical products, no barriers to entry, and perfect information. Monopoly, a market dominated by a single firm which controls the supply of the product, often due to high barriers to entry. Oligopoly, a market dominated by a few large firms where each firm's actions affect the others and there may be significant barriers to entry. Monopolistic competition, a market with many firms offering differentiated products, where firms have some control over price but still face competition. 3. Competition level. Market structure determines the degree of competition. In perfect competition, competition is high, while in monopolies, competition is virtually non-existent. 4. Price setting power. In perfect competition, firms are price takers with no control over the market price. In monopolies, firms are price makers, having significant control over pricing due to a lack of competition. 5. Barriers to entry. Barriers vary by market structure. In perfect competition, entry is easy, while in monopolies and oligopolies, high barriers, example, capital costs, government regulations, restrict new firms from entering. 6. Efficiency. Perfect competition leads to allocative and productive efficiency, while monopolies and oligopolies can lead to inefficiencies, including higher prices and reduced output, as firms may not face the same competitive pressures. Features of perfect competition. Here are 6 important features of perfect competition. 1. Large number of buyers and sellers. The market consists of a large number of buyers and sellers, none of whom have the power to influence the market price. 2. Homogeneous products. All firms in a perfectly competitive market sell identical or homogeneous products, meaning there is no differentiation between the goods offered by different sellers. 3. Free entry and exit. Firms can freely enter or exit the market without any significant barriers, ensuring that competition remains high and profits are normal in the long run. 4. Perfect information. All buyers and sellers have access to complete and accurate information about prices, products, and production methods, enabling them to make informed decisions. 5. Price takers. Individual firms in a perfectly competitive market are price takers, meaning they accept the market price as given and cannot influence it due to the presence of many competitors and identical products. 6. No government intervention. There is no government control over prices or production, as the market operates solely on supply and demand forces. Monopoly. Here are 6 important points about monopoly. 1. Single seller. A monopoly is a market structure where a single firm dominates the entire market, controlling the supply of a product or service with no close substitutes. 2. Price maker. The monopolist has significant control over the price of the product. Unlike in competitive markets, the monopolist can set the price to maximize profits rather than taking the market price as given. 3. Barriers to entry. High barriers to entry, such as legal restrictions, patents, licenses, high startup costs, or control over essential resources, prevent other firms from entering the market and competing with the monopolist. 4. Lack of close substitutes. In a monopoly, the product or service offered has no close substitutes, giving the monopolist significant pricing power and the ability to influence demand. 5. Market power. The monopolist can reduce output to increase prices and maximize profits, which often results in inefficiencies in the market and higher prices for consumers. 6. Inefficiency. Monopolies are generally considered less efficient than competitive markets because they tend to produce less, charge higher prices, and do not have the same incentives to innovate or improve quality, leading to consumer welfare losses. Monopolistic competition. Here are 6 important points about monopolistic competition. 1. Many sellers. In monopolistic competition, there are many firms in the market, each with a relatively small market share, but not enough to dominate the market. 2. Product differentiation. Each firm offers a product that is slightly different from others, allowing them to have some control over their pricing. This differentiation can be based on quality, features, branding, or customer service. 3. Free entry and exit. Like perfect competition, there are low barriers to entry and exit, meaning new firms can easily enter the market when profits are attractive and exit when they are no longer profitable. 4. Some degree of market power. Because of product differentiation, firms in monopolistic competition are price makers to a limited extent. They can influence prices, but competition still restricts their ability to raise prices too much. 5. Non-price competition. Firms often rely on non-price competition, such as advertising, promotions, and product innovation, to differentiate their products and attract customers. 6. Efficiency and long-run equilibrium. In the long run, firms in monopolistic competition tend to earn normal profits, zero economic profit, because of the free entry of new firms. However, they are less efficient than firms in perfect competition, leading to some degree of allocative and productive inefficiency. Oligopoly. Here are 6 important points about oligopoly. 1. Few large firms. Oligopoly is a market structure dominated by a small number of large firms that control a significant portion of the market share, leading to limited competition. 2. Interdependence. Firms in an oligopoly are highly interdependent. The actions of one firm, example pricing, production, advertising, significantly affect the others, leading to strategic decision-making and potential collusion. 3. Barriers to entry. Oligopolistic markets have high barriers to entry, such as capital requirements, economies of scale, and brand loyalty, which prevent new firms from entering the market and competing effectively. 4. Product differentiation. Products in an oligopoly can be either homogeneous, example oil, steel, or differentiated, example cars, smartphones. The degree of differentiation affects competition within the market. 5. Price rigidity. Prices in an oligopoly tend to be sticky or stable over time because firms are reluctant to change prices due to the fear of retaliation from competitors. This results in price wars or tacit collusion. 6. Collusion and cartels. In some cases, firms in an oligopoly may engage in collusion, either explicitly or tacitly, to set prices or limit competition, forming cartels that reduce market competition and increase profits. Example: OPEC in the oil industry. Circular flow of income. Here are 6 important points about the circular flow of income. 1. Definition. The circular flow of income refers to the continuous movement of money, goods, and services between different sectors of an economy, illustrating how money circulates in the economy. 2. Key participants. The main participants in the circular flow are households, consumers, firms, producers, the government, and the foreign sector, exports and imports. 3. Flow of income. Households provide factors of production, labor, capital, land, etc. to firms in exchange for wages, rent, interest, and profits. Firms pay households for these factors of production and, in return, produce goods and services sold to households. 4. Expenditure and revenue. Households spend their income on goods and services produced by firms, generating revenue for firms. Firms, in turn, pay households for the use of their resources, completing the cycle. 5. Government role. The government collects taxes from households and firms and redistributes income through transfers, subsidies, and public services, which influence both production and consumption. 6. Leakages and injections. Leakages, savings, taxes, and imports are withdrawals from the flow, reducing the overall income in the economy. Injections, investment, government spending, and exports are additions to the flow, stimulating economic activity and income generation. This flow continues in a circular motion, ensuring the economy remains in a constant state of exchange and economic activity. National income. Here are 6 important points about national income. 1. Definition. National income refers to the total monetary value of all goods and services produced within a country during a specific time period, typically measured annually. It is used as an indicator of a nation's economic performance. 2. Components. National income includes wages, profits, rents, and interest earned by residents and businesses within a country. It accounts for both income from domestic production and net income from abroad. 3. Methods of measurement. Production method calculates national income by summing the value added at each stage of production in the economy. Income method measures the total income earned by individuals. and firms, including wages, profits, and rents. Expenditure method measures national income by summing the total expenditure on goods and services, including consumption, investment, government spending, and net exports, exports minus imports. 4. Gross versus net national income. Gross national income (GNI), the total income earned by residents of a country, regardless of whether the income is earned domestically or abroad. Net national income (NNI) GNI minus depreciation, the loss of value of capital goods over time. 5. Real versus nominal national income. Nominal national income is measured at current market prices without adjusting for inflation. Real national income is adjusted for inflation, reflecting the actual purchasing power and real economic growth. 6. Importance. National income is a crucial measure for understanding economic growth, comparing living standards, formulating fiscal policies, and determining the overall economic health of a nation. It helps in assessing how wealth is distributed and the effectiveness of economic policies. GDP. Here are 6 important points about gross domestic product (GDP). 1. Definition. GDP is the total monetary value of all goods and services produced within a country's borders during a specific time period, typically measured annually or quarterly. It is a key indicator of a country's economic performance. 2. Methods of calculation. Production, output, method measures GDP by summing the value added at each stage of production in the economy. Expenditure method calculates GDP by adding up total expenditures made on goods and services, including consumption, investment, government spending, and net exports, exports minus imports. Income method computes GDP by summing the incomes earned by individuals and firms, such as wages, profits, rents, and interest. 3. Nominal versus real GDP. Nominal GDP is measured at current market prices without adjusting for inflation. Real GDP is adjusted for inflation, reflecting the actual growth in output and providing a more accurate picture of economic growth over time. 4. GDP per capita. This is the GDP divided by the population of a country, offering a measure of average income or standard of living, and is often used for cross-country comparisons. 5. Limitations of GDP. GDP does not account for income inequality, environmental degradation, or unpaid work, example, household labor. It also does not measure the informal economy or the quality of life, such as education and healthcare, that can affect well-being. 6. Importance. GDP serves as a critical tool for policymakers to gauge the economic health of a country, make decisions on fiscal and monetary policies, and assess whether an economy is in a period of growth or recession. It is also widely used in global economic comparisons. NDP. Here are 6 important points about net domestic product, NDP. 1. Definition. NDP is the total value of all goods and services produced within a country's borders during a specific period, after adjusting for depreciation of capital goods such as machinery, equipment, and infrastructure. 2. Formula. NDP is equal to GDP depreciation. NDP is derived by subtracting depreciation, also called capital consumption allowance, from gross domestic product (GDP). 3. Depreciation. Depreciation represents the reduction in the value of capital goods over time due to wear and tear or obsolescence. NDP accounts for this loss in value, offering a more accurate representation of a country's sustainable production. For purpose, NDP helps measure the true economic output by showing the amount of production available for consumption or investment without reducing the capital stock. It reflects the economy's ability to maintain or grow its production capacity. 5. Real versus nominal NDP. Nominal NDP is calculated at current market prices without adjusting for inflation. Real NDP is adjusted for inflation, providing a more accurate reflection of actual growth in output and ensuring comparability over time. 6. Importance. NDP is useful for assessing long-term economic sustainability. If NDP is growing, it indicates that a country is not only producing more but is also replacing its depreciated capital, ensuring future growth. It is a more reliable indicator of economic health than GDP alone, as it accounts for capital depletion. GNP. Here are 6 important points about gross national product, GNP. 1. Definition. GNP is the total market value of all final goods and services produced by the residents of a country during a specific time period, both domestically and abroad, regardless of the location of production. 2. Formula. GNP is equal to GDP plus net income from abroad. GNP is calculated by adding net income from abroad, income earned by residents from foreign investments minus income earned by foreigners in the country, to GDP. 3. Difference between GDP and GNP. GDP measures the total output produced within a country's borders. GNP includes GDP but adds the income earned by residents from overseas investments and subtracts income earned by foreigners within the country. 4. Impact of international income. GNP takes into account a nation's economic activities abroad, such as earnings from international investments or remittances sent back home by citizens working abroad, making it broader than GDP. 5. Nominal versus real GNP. Nominal GNP is measured at current market prices, not adjusted for inflation. Real GNP is adjusted for inflation, reflecting the true value of goods and services produced by the nation. 6. Importance. GNP provides a more comprehensive measure of a country's economic health and the economic contributions of its residents, as it accounts for income generated internationally. It is useful for comparing the economic well being of countries with large international investments or significant numbers of citizens working abroad. NNP. Here are 6 important points about Net National Product. NNP 1. Definition. NNP is the total market value of all final goods and services produced by the residents of a country during a specific time period, after adjusting for depreciation of capital goods. 2. Formula. NNP is equal to GNP, depreciation. NNP is derived by subtracting depreciation, capital consumption allowance, from gross national product, GNP. Depreciation represents the wear and tear or obsolescence of capital assets like machinery, buildings, and equipment. 3. Difference between GNP and NNP. GNP measures the total income earned by a country's residents, including income from abroad. NNP accounts for the loss in value of capital goods, depreciation, thus providing a clearer picture of the economy's actual production capacity. 4. Real versus nominal NNP. Nominal NNP is calculated at current market prices without adjusting for inflation. Real NNP is adjusted for inflation, providing a more accurate comparison of economic growth over time. 5. Importance. NNP is a better indicator of a country's long-term economic health and sustainability. If NNP is increasing, it means that a country is not only generating more income but also maintaining or replacing its capital stock to support future production. 6. Economic implications. A growing NNP suggests that the economy is expanding while maintaining or renewing its capital assets. A decline in NNP, however, may indicate that depreciation is outpacing new investments, potentially leading to a decrease in future productive capacity. PCI. Here are 6 important points about per capita income, PCI. 1. Definition. Per capita income, PCI, is the average income earned by a person in a country, calculated by dividing the total national income, or GDP, by the total population of the country. 2. Formula. PCI is equal to total national income, or GDP. PCI provides an average income figure per person, helping to understand the income distribution in a country. 3. Measure of living standards. PCI is often used as an indicator of the average standard of living in a country. Higher PCI generally reflects better living standards, as people have more income to spend on goods and services. 4. Real versus nominal PCI. Nominal PCI is calculated using current prices without adjusting for inflation. Real PCI is adjusted for inflation to account for changes in the price level over time, offering a clearer picture of actual purchasing power. 5. Limitations. While PCI provides a useful measure of average income, it does not account for income inequality, regional disparities, or the distribution of wealth. A high PCI might mask poverty or inequality within the country. 6. Importance. PCI is used by policymakers and researchers to compare the economic performance of different countries, track economic growth, and assess the economic well-being of the population. It helps identify areas needing economic development or social programs. GVA. Here are 6 important points about gross value added (GVA). 1. Definition. Gross value added (GVA) represents the total value of goods and services produced in an economy or a specific sector before accounting for depreciation. It is a key measure of economic output. 2. Formula. GVA is equal to GDP, indirect taxes plus subsidies. GVA is derived from the gross domestic product, GDP, by subtracting indirect taxes like sales tax or VAT and adding subsidies provided by the government. 3. Sectoral GVA. GVA can be calculated for different sectors of the economy, such as agriculture, industry, and services, to understand their contribution to overall economic output. This helps in analyzing the structure of the economy. 4. Distinction from GDP. Unlike GDP, which measures the total output of a country, GVA focuses on the value added at each stage of production, which excludes the effects of taxes and subsidies, giving a clearer picture of productive activities. 5. Real versus nominal GVA. Nominal GVA is measured at current market prices without adjusting for inflation. Real GVA is adjusted for inflation, providing a more accurate comparison of the economic value added over time. 6. Importance. GVA is useful for analyzing the performance of specific industries and sectors, evaluating productivity, and understanding the economic contribution of different activities. It is also a key metric in calculating national income and measuring economic growth. Green GDP. Here are 6 important points about green GDP. 1. Definition. Green GDP is an adjusted version of GDP that accounts for the environmental costs associated with economic growth, including the depletion of natural resources and environmental degradation such as pollution and deforestation. 2. Formula. Green GDP is equal to GDP environmental degradation costs resource depletio N costs. Green GDP adjusts traditional GDP by subtracting the negative impact of economic activities on the environment, providing a more accurate measure of sustainable economic growth. 3. Environmental considerations. Green GDP takes into account factors such as air and water pollution, loss of biodiversity, and depletion of natural resources, which are typically not reflected in conventional GDP measurements. 4. Sustainability indicator. Green GDP serves as an indicator of sustainable development, helping to assess whether economic growth is being achieved without causing long-term harm to the environment or depleting essential natural resources. 5. Policy implications. By incorporating environmental costs, green GDP encourages policymakers to consider the ecological impact of economic activities and to adopt policies that promote sustainable growth, renewable energy, and conservation efforts. 6. Limitations. Calculating green GDP can be challenging due to the difficulty in quantifying environmental degradation and resource depletion. There is also no standardized method for measuring these factors, which can lead to variations in the calculation of green GDP across different countries and regions. Trade cycles. Here are 6 important points about trade cycles, also known as business cycles. 1. Definition. A trade cycle refers to the recurring fluctuations in economic activity over time, including periods of expansion, growth, and contraction, recession. It represents the ups and downs of economic activity, such as production, employment, and consumer spending. 2. Phases of the trade cycle. Expansion. During this phase, the economy experiences growth, increased demand, rising production, and lower unemployment. Businesses invest more, and consumer confidence is high. Peak. The economy reaches its highest point of activity in the cycle, where output and employment are at their maximum. Inflationary pressures may also build during this phase. Recession. Contraction. This phase is marked by a decline in economic activity, reduced consumer demand, lower production, and rising unemployment. Businesses cut back on investment and may experience losses. Trough. The lowest point of the cycle, where economic activity bottoms out. Unemployment is high, and there is little to no economic growth during this phase. 3 causes of trade cycles. Demand shocks. Changes in consumer and business confidence or government policy can lead to shifts in aggregate demand, triggering expansions or contractions. Supply shocks. Factors like changes in oil prices, technological advances, or disruptions in supply chains can influence economic activity and contribute to cycles. Monetary and fiscal policy. Central banks' interest rate policies and government spending or taxation decisions can affect investment, consumption, and overall economic activity. For duration and frequency, trade cycles can vary in length and intensity, typically lasting several years. Some cycles may be short and mild, while others can be prolonged and severe, depending on the underlying economic conditions. 5. Impact of trade cycles. Economic growth during the expansion phase can improve living standards, while the recession phase can lead to unemployment, business failures, and financial instability. Managing these cycles is a key goal of economic policy. 6. Policy responses. Governments and central banks often implement fiscal and monetary policies to smooth out the fluctuations in trade cycles. During recessions, stimulus measures such as increased government spending and lower interest rates are used to spur economic activity, while during expansions, tightening policies may be used to control inflation. Salient features of Indian economy and structural changes. Here are 6 important points about the salient features of the Indian economy and structural changes. Salient features of the Indian economy. 1. Mixed economy. India has a mixed economy where both the private sector and public sector coexist. The government plays a significant role in key sectors such as infrastructure, defense, and social welfare, while the private sector contributes to industries, services, and agriculture. 2. Agricultural dominance. Despite rapid industrialization and service sector growth, agriculture remains a significant part of the Indian economy, employing a large portion of the population. However, its contribution to GDP has declined over time as other sectors grow. 3. Large and diverse population. India is the second most populous country in the world, which provides both a vast labor force and a large domestic market. However, this also poses challenges such as poverty, unemployment, and resource management. 4. High level of poverty and inequality. Although poverty has reduced over the years, India still faces significant disparities in income, wealth, and access to basic services. Income inequality remains a critical issue in the country. 5. Service sector growth. India has experienced significant growth in its services sector, particularly in IT, software development, and business outsourcing. This sector has become a major contributor to GDP, foreign exchange, and employment. 6. Regional disparities. Economic development in India is uneven, with some regions, such as urban areas, being more developed than others, especially rural areas. This disparity impacts overall economic growth and development. Structural changes in the Indian economy. 1. Shift from agriculture to industry and services. Over time, India has transitioned from an agriculture-based economy to a more industrial and services-driven economy. The contribution of agriculture to GDP has decreased, while industry and services have become more prominent. 2. Economic liberalization. 1991 reforms. In 1991, India undertook significant economic reforms, including trade liberalization, deregulation, and privatization of state-owned enterprises. These reforms helped India integrate more into the global economy, leading to increased foreign investment and economic growth. 3. Urbanization. Rapid urbanization has led to the growth of cities and towns, with a migration of people from rural to urban areas in search of better employment opportunities and living standards. This shift has driven demand for infrastructure, housing, and services. 4. Industrial diversification. India has diversified its industrial base, moving from traditional sectors like textiles and agriculture-based industries to more modern industries such as information technology, pharmaceuticals, telecommunications, and automobiles. 5. Rising middle class. The economic growth, particularly in the post-liberalization era, has led to the rise of a significant middle class in India. This group has driven demand for consumer goods, education, healthcare, and housing, boosting the domestic market. 6. Increased foreign trade and investment. Structural changes have also led to India becoming more open to foreign trade and investment. India has become one of the world's largest economies by purchasing power parity, with growing exports in services, information technology, and manufactured goods. These structural changes have transformed India's economic landscape, though challenges such as poverty reduction, inequality, and environmental sustainability remain ongoing concerns. Causes of low agricultural productivity and government measures to improve its productivity. Here are 6 important points about the causes of low agricultural productivity and government measures to improve productivity. Causes of low agricultural productivity. 1. Dependence on monsoons. Agriculture in India is heavily dependent on monsoon rains, leading to fluctuations in production. Irregular or insufficient rainfall can result in crop failure, reducing overall productivity. 2. Fragmentation of land. The size of agricultural holdings in India is small and fragmented. This limits the use of modern machinery and technologies, reduces economies of scale, and makes it difficult for farmers to access credit or technology. 3. Inadequate irrigation facilities. A significant portion of Indian agriculture still depends on rain-fed water sources. The lack of widespread and efficient irrigation systems leads to inefficient water use and low crop yields. 4. Low adoption of modern technology. The adoption of modern farming techniques, high-yielding varieties, and mechanization is low among small and marginal farmers due to high costs, lack of knowledge, and insufficient access to credit. 5. Poor soil health. Overuse of chemical fertilizers, inadequate crop rotation, and lack of proper soil management have led to soil degradation and a decline in soil fertility, impacting crop yields. 6. Inadequate infrastructure and market access. Poor rural infrastructure, such as roads, storage facilities, and transportation, limits access to markets. This results in post-harvest losses and discourages farmers from producing surplus crops. Government measures to improve agricultural productivity. 1. Promotion of irrigation schemes. The government has implemented various irrigation projects like the Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sinchai Yojana (PMKSY) to enhance water availability for agriculture and reduce dependence on monsoons. These include micro-irrigation schemes and canal irrigation projects. 2. Subsidies for fertilizers and seeds. The government provides subsidies on fertilizers, seeds, and agricultural inputs to make them more affordable for farmers. It also promotes the use of high-yielding and drought-resistant crop varieties to improve productivity. 3. Credit and financial support. The government has established programs like the Kisan Credit Card (KCC) to provide easy access to credit for farmers. These initiatives aim to alleviate the financial burden and help farmers invest in better tools, technology, and inputs. 4. Agricultural Extension Services. Government programs aim to educate farmers about new agricultural practices, pest management, and crop rotation. Extension services through Krishi Vigyan Kendras (KVKs) and other initiatives help improve farmers' knowledge and skills. 5. Rural infrastructure development. The government has launched schemes such as the Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana (PMGSY) to improve rural road infrastructure, making it easier for farmers to access markets and reduce post-harvest losses. It also supports cold storage facilities and warehousing. 6. Minimum Support Price (MSP) and procurement. The government sets MSPs for essential crops to ensure fair prices for farmers. It also ensures the procurement of crops at MSP through Food Corporation of India (FCI), which helps stabilize income and incentivizes farmers to produce more. By addressing these causes and promoting relevant measures, the government aims to boost agricultural productivity, ensuring food security and improving farmers' livelihoods in the long run. Poverty line, its causes and its alleviation strategies. Here are 6 important points about poverty, including the poverty line, its causes, and alleviation strategies. Poverty line. 1. Definition. The poverty line is the threshold below which individuals or households are considered to be living in poverty. It is typically defined by the income or consumption level necessary to meet basic needs such as food, clothing, and shelter. To measurement, the poverty line is usually measured in terms of income or consumption per capita. In India, it has been determined by the government based on the minimum calorie intake required for survival, though it may also take into account non-food essentials like education, healthcare, and housing. 3. Revised poverty lines. Over time, the poverty line has been revised to reflect changes in income levels, cost of living, and inflation. For instance, the Tendulkar Committee 2009 and the Rangarajan Committee 2014 redefined poverty lines in India to capture more comprehensive aspects of living standards. Causes of poverty. 1. Economic inequality. Unequal distribution of wealth and income is a major contributor to poverty. The rich control a significant portion of the nation's wealth, while a large section of the population remains marginalized due to lack of access to resources and opportunities. 2. Unemployment and underemployment. A lack of adequate employment opportunities, coupled with underemployment, where people are employed in jobs that do not match their skills or offer fair wages, contributes to widespread poverty. 3. Poor education and skill development. Low levels of education and lack of vocational training prevent individuals from gaining the skills required for better paying jobs, keeping them trapped in low income sectors. 4. Ill health and inadequate health care. Poor health and the inability to afford health care services often result in a loss of income and productivity, further exacerbating poverty. Many poor families face medical emergencies that push them deeper into poverty. 5. Population growth. Rapid population growth puts pressure on resources like food, housing, and jobs, leading to an increase in poverty. High dependency ratios, with a large portion of the population being non-working, also contribute to the problem. 6. Social exclusion and discrimination. Marginalized groups, including lower castes, tribes, women, and rural populations, often face social exclusion, discrimination, and limited access to education, healthcare, and economic opportunities, further entrenching poverty. Poverty alleviation strategies. 1. Economic growth and job creation. Promoting economic growth through industrialization, entrepreneurship, and infrastructure development can generate jobs and improve income levels. Employment generation programs such as the Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act, MGNREGA, aim to provide livelihood opportunities to the poor. 2. Social security programs. Social welfare schemes like direct cash transfers, food subsidies, and health insurance. Example Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana, PM Ujjwala Yojana, provide a safety net for poor households and help improve their living conditions. 3. Education and skill development. Improving access to education and vocational training programs can empower individuals with skills that enhance employability. Programs like the Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan (SSA) and Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana (PMKVY) aim to improve education and skills development. 4. Access to health care. Government initiatives such as the Ayushman Bharat scheme aim to provide affordable health care to low-income families, helping reduce the economic burden of illness and improving the overall well-being of the population. 5. Agricultural reforms and rural development, focusing on rural development through better irrigation, modern farming techniques, and rural infrastructure can help lift people out of poverty. Programs such as the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana (PMA) focus on providing affordable housing for the rural poor. 6. Targeted poverty alleviation programs. The government has launched various targeted poverty alleviation programs that focus on specific vulnerable groups. Programs like the National Rural Livelihood Mission (NRLM) aim to uplift rural women and marginalized communities by providing them with financial inclusion and empowerment opportunities. By addressing the causes of poverty and implementing a range of inclusive measures, the goal is to significantly reduce poverty and improve the quality of life for disadvantaged populations. Population size and composition, causes of high growth and demographic dividend. Here are 6 important points about population in terms of size and composition, causes of high growth, and demographic dividend. Size and composition of population. 1. Population size. India is the second most populous country in the world, with a population exceeding 1.4 billion people. The size of the population significantly influences the economy, labor market, and social dynamics. 2. Age structure. India's population has a youthful age structure, with a large proportion under the age of 30. This young demographic can offer opportunities for economic growth but also poses challenges in terms of education, employment, and healthcare. 3. Gender composition. The male-female ratio has traditionally been skewed in favor of males, though there has been some improvement over the years. Gender disparities in literacy, employment, and healthcare access remain challenges for equitable growth. 4. Rural-urban distribution. A significant portion of India's population, around 65%, lives in rural areas. However, urbanization is increasing as people migrate to cities in search of better employment and living conditions. 5. Literacy and education. While literacy rates have improved over the decades, there is still a significant gap between rural and urban areas and between male and female literacy rates, affecting overall human capital development. 6. Ethnic and cultural diversity. India's population is ethnically and culturally diverse, with various linguistic, religious, and cultural groups. This diversity influences regional development, policy decisions, and social dynamics. Causes of high population growth. 1. High birth rate. A historically high birth rate has been a major contributor to rapid population growth in India. Cultural factors, limited access to family planning, and lower age at marriage have traditionally led to larger family sizes. 2. A declining mortality rate. Improvements in healthcare, sanitation, and nutrition have led to a significant decline in the mortality rate, especially infant and child mortality, contributing to population growth. 3. Limited family planning awareness. In many rural and less developed areas, there has been limited access to or awareness of family planning methods. This lack of knowledge contributes to higher fertility rates. 4. Economic factors. In some areas, children are seen as assets for contributing to household income, especially in agrarian communities. Larger families are perceived as beneficial for economic survival, especially where there is limited access to social security. 5. Social and cultural factors. Cultural norms and societal expectations often favor large families, especially in rural areas. In some regions, having more children, particularly male children, is viewed as a sign of social status and security. 6. Early marriage and childbearing. Early marriage and childbearing practices in some regions, particularly in rural areas, contribute to higher fertility rates and population growth. Despite legal reforms, these practices continue in certain areas. Demographic dividend. 1. Definition. The demographic dividend refers to the economic growth potential that can arise from changes in a country's age structure, particularly when the working age population, 15 to 64 years, is larger than the dependent population, children and elderly. 2. Youthful workforce. India's large and growing youthful workforce can be a significant advantage if properly harnessed. A larger working age population means more people are available to contribute to economic productivity, increasing GDP growth. 3. Potential economic boost. If India can provide education, skills development, and employment opportunities for its young population, it can experience rapid economic growth. This demographic window of opportunity can lead to increased savings, consumption, and investment. 4. Challenges in harnessing the dividend. For India to capitalize on its demographic dividend, there must be investments in education, healthcare, infrastructure, and job creation. Without proper policies, a large youth population may face unemployment and underemployment, which could lead to social unrest. 5. Aging population in the future. While India is currently benefiting from a youthful population, it will eventually face the challenges of an aging population as life expectancy increases. This may reverse the demographic dividend and put pressure on pension systems and healthcare. 6. Policy focus. To take advantage of the demographic dividend, India needs policies that improve education, skill development, healthcare, and job creation, particularly for youth. Initiatives like Skill India and Digital India aim to create a workforce that is ready to meet the demands of a globalized economy. By addressing the causes of high population growth and focusing on maximizing the demographic dividend, India has the potential to achieve sustained economic growth and development in the coming decades. Niti Aayog structure and functions. Here are 6 important points about Niti Aayog, focusing on its structure and functions. Structure of Niti Aayog. 1. Governing Council, the highest decision-making body of Niti Aayog. The Governing Council consists of the Prime Minister as the chairperson, along with chief ministers of all states and union territories, and key central ministers. This body ensures that the views of state governments are considered in national planning. To a chairperson, the Prime Minister of India serves as the chairperson of Niti Aayog. This highlights the importance of the institution in the governance structure and allows it to directly align with national policies and priorities. 3. Vice Chairperson. The Vice Chairperson of Niti Aayog is appointed by the Prime Minister. The Vice Chairperson helps steer the strategic direction of the organization and its initiatives. 4. Chief Executive Officer CEO. The CEO is appointed by the government and is responsible for overseeing the day-to-day operations of Niti Aayog, ensuring the implementation of its policies and coordinating with various departments and ministries. 5. Expert members. Niti Aayog consists of full-time members and part-time members who are experts in various fields like economics, development, and public policy. These members bring their expertise to guide and inform policy decisions. 6. Regional councils and subcommittees. Niti Aayog also has regional councils and subcommittees that focus on specific areas like sustainable development, social issues, or sectoral growth. These councils enable regional and issue-based planning to complement national goals. Functions of Niti Aayog. 1. Policy and planning. Niti Aayog is responsible for formulating long-term policies and strategic plans for India. It replaces the earlier Planning Commission, focusing on sustainable development and inclusive growth by developing frameworks that align with the country's needs. 2. Coordinating national and state strategies. Niti Aayog helps in coordinating between the central and state governments to ensure cooperative federalism. It plays a crucial role in ensuring that national plans are implemented effectively at the state level, especially in terms of resource allocation and policy execution. 3. Monitoring and evaluation. One of the key functions of Niti Aayog is to monitor and evaluate the progress of government schemes and development programs. It tracks the implementation of policies, assesses their impact, and suggests improvements or mid-course corrections. 4. Advisory role. Niti Aayog provides advisory support to the government on various issues related to economic policy, social welfare, infrastructure development, and public administration. It helps shape policy decisions through research, analysis, and expert opinions. 5. Fostering innovation and research. the institution works to promote innovation and research in various sectors, encouraging the adoption of new technologies, promoting entrepreneurship, and supporting digital and infrastructural transformation in India. 6. Sustainable Development Goals SDGs. Niti Aayog plays a key role in aligning national policies with the UN's Sustainable Development Goals SDGs. It integrates environmental, social, and economic sustainability into India's policy frameworks and monitors progress towards achieving these global goals. Through its structure and functions, Niti Aayog aims to serve as a think tank and advisory body that supports the government in achieving its long-term development goals while promoting efficient governance and policy making across sectors. Food security and recent trends. Here are 6 important points about food security and its recent trends. Food security. 1. Definition. Food security exists when all people, at all times, have physical, social, and economic access to sufficient, safe, and nutritious food that meets their dietary needs and food preferences for an active and healthy life. It is measured by availability, accessibility, and utilization of food. 2 dimensions of food security. Availability. Sufficient quantities of food must be available in the country through domestic production, imports, or food aid. Accessibility. People must have the economic and physical access to sufficient food. This includes affordable food and the ability to purchase it. Utilization. Proper utilization of food through adequate nutrition and food safety, along with clean water and sanitation, is essential for health. Stability. Consistency in food availability, accessibility, and utilization is crucial over time, without fluctuations due to factors like seasonal changes, disasters, or economic instability. 3. Government programs. The Public Distribution System (PDS), Midday Meal Scheme, Integrated Child Development Services (ICDS), and Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Yojana (PMGKY) are key government initiatives aimed at ensuring food security for vulnerable populations in India, providing subsidized food grains and nutrition assistance. 4. Food Security Act. The National Food Security Act (NFSA) 2013 aims to provide subsidized food grains to 2/3 of India's population, ensuring food security by addressing hunger and malnutrition. It guarantees access to 5 kilograms of food grains per person per month at subsidized rates. 5. Challenges to food security. Poverty and inequality. Despite increased food production, poverty and economic inequality prevent many people from accessing adequate food. Environmental factors, climate change, unpredictable weather patterns, and environmental degradation can affect food production and disrupt food distribution systems. Rural-urban divide. Rural areas often suffer from limited access to food and basic services, leading to higher malnutrition rates compared to urban areas. Recent trends in food security. 1. Decline in global hunger. According to the Global Hunger Index (GHI), global hunger has decreased, but many countries still face challenges in achieving food security. India ranks lower on the GHI, indicating persistent challenges in food availability, nutrition, and access for marginalized populations. 2. Nutritional quality of food. While food availability has improved, there is increasing concern about the nutritional quality of food. A rise in non-communicable diseases like obesity, diabetes, and malnutrition reflects imbalanced diets, where cheap processed food often replaces nutritious options. 3. Impact of COVID-19. The COVID-19 pandemic disrupted food security globally, leading to supply chain interruptions, labor shortages, and increased food prices. It exacerbated the vulnerabilities of marginalized groups and worsened the problem of hunger and malnutrition. 4. Sustainable and resilient agriculture. Increasing focus is being placed on sustainable agricultural practices to ensure long-term food security. This includes promoting organic farming, climate-smart agriculture, and improving irrigation systems to adapt to changing climatic conditions. 5. Digital innovations in food distribution. Technology is playing a growing role in enhancing food security. Digital platforms for food distribution, better data on food production, and innovative methods like ENAM, Electronic National Agriculture Market, aim to improve the accessibility and transparency of food supply chains. 6. Focus on climate change and food security. There is a growing recognition of the link between climate change and food security. Changes in weather patterns, droughts, floods, and rising temperatures can disrupt agricultural production. Governments and international organizations are increasingly integrating climate resilience into food security strategies. Recent trends reflect a growing focus on not only ensuring the availability of food but also addressing the quality of diets, sustainability of food production systems, and inclusivity in addressing food security challenges. The role of technology, government interventions, and climate change adaptation is becoming more central to food security efforts. New Industrial Policy 1991. Here are 6 important points about the new industrial policy of 1991 in India. 1. Liberalization and economic reforms. The new industrial policy of 1991 marked a significant shift from the previous protectionist and regulated industrial framework. It was introduced in the wake of a balance of payments crisis and aimed to liberalize the Indian economy by reducing state control, allowing more competition, and encouraging private and foreign investment. The policy was a part of broader economic reforms to modernize and make India's industrial sector globally competitive. 2. Abolition of industrial licensing. Under the 1991 policy, the government deregulated industrial licensing for most industries, except for those in sectors such as defense, nuclear power, and high security industries. This move allowed businesses to set up and expand without the cumbersome process of obtaining licenses, which had previously stifled entrepreneurial growth and investment. 3. Dereservation of the public sector. The policy reduced the number of industries reserved for the public sector. Prior to 1991, certain industries were exclusively reserved for the public sector, but the new policy allowed greater participation of private players, thus fostering competition. It also encouraged private investment in sectors like telecommunications, power, and transport. 4. Foreign direct investment, FDI, and globalization. The new industrial policy opened the doors for foreign direct investment, FDI, by allowing foreign companies to invest in Indian industries. It relaxed restrictions on foreign ownership and introduced more favorable policies for joint ventures. This policy also aimed to integrate India into the global economy, promoting exports and encouraging the entry of foreign technology. 5. Market-oriented approach. The policy shifted India towards a market-oriented industrial approach, moving away from the earlier emphasis on central planning and control. It emphasized the importance of market forces in shaping production, prices, and distribution, giving more autonomy to industries to decide on production and investment decisions based on market demand. 6. Technological upgradation and innovation. The policy emphasized the need for technological advancement and innovation to make Indian industries globally competitive. It promoted the modernization of industrial infrastructure and encouraged industries to adopt new technologies. The policy also focused on improving the quality of products and fostering research and development. Overall, the 1991 new industrial policy played a pivotal role in transforming India's industrial landscape, fostering a competitive and open economy. It paved the way for economic growth and globalization by encouraging private and foreign investment, reducing bureaucratic controls, and improving India's industrial efficiency. Micro, small and medium